Hello, my family. Okay, so today is Cinco de Mayo. And when we think of Cinco de Mayo, we think of Mexican food, even if we have health issues. And ours is low carb Mediterranean. Now, tonight we're pretty much doing nothing but the low carb. But when we think of Cinco de Mayo, we think of Mexican food, we think of burritos, we think of tacos, enchiladas, you know, all these amazing Mexican food. But there's one problem, one thing we can't have, and that would be the tortillas, whether it be the flour or the corn tortillas. Today in my kitchen, I tried 2 different recipes, and I'm going to give you the recipe to both of them in the description below. But the one I am going to actually go ahead and demonstrate is the one made with lupin flour. Now, to me, equally, and my cat is probably going to mess with this camera again. Y'all, I am so sorry. So, let me take care of her first. I am so sorry. So, anyways, as I was stating, I have 2 recipes, and these both, they work amazingly. Honestly, they both worked very well. They're both very pliable, and I'm going to show you. Well, this one I sampled off of, so we'll just give you this one. Flexibility. This is the lupin flour recipe. It will work. I can roll this up, just like so. And I can make enchiladas out of this, or burritos if I wanted to, although they're small. Pliable to make a decent taco. Soft shell. Now, the other recipe, this one is made with coconut flour and almond flour. This other one I showed you was lupin flour and almond flour. So again, pliable. This one also is rollable. And so here's what I found out of both of them. Now, the one with the almond flour and coconut has more of a grainy texture. When I taste this one, not that it's got a bad flavor, it really doesn't. But when I think of this one, to me, it's more like a corn tortilla. There's nothing wrong with that. I could see this being done with enchiladas really well with that recipe. Tacos, to me, a little bit too grainy. So, not saying now the one made with lupin flour has grain too, but somehow this one here holds together a little bit better for tacos. So, or maybe even a burrito or crunch wrap. Honestly, you can do many things with both these recipes. The other thing that I'm looking at is the one made with lupin flour and almond flour. Is that one with a 4-inch tortilla is 0.6 grams of carbs versus the almond flour coconut, which is 2.5 grams of carbs each. So when I look at these recipes, for me, for what we add to, and by the time we add we're using chicken, by the way, shredded chicken, farm fresh raised chickens. And so when I think about the ingredients I'm going to add to my taco, to me, it's going to come out, I am going to use the less grammed carbed tortilla in my supper tonight than I will the other. However, again, both will work, and I will put the recipe down for both. I am going to do the demonstration with the lupin flour, almond flour recipe, and I will say that mine are slightly bigger than the 4-inch, so I'm going to be looking at approximately 1.5 to 2 grams carbs per tortilla. So it still comes out less grams than the other one over here. So let me get started, get everything ready for you, and we're going to go ahead and make these tortillas. Now, the press that I am using a actually tortilla press. Mine's cast iron. And I am going to show you the whole process and how we do this, and it's only going to make, at this point, I'm only going to be making 4. So I had already made a recipe prior before this for our meal, but I'm going to add more, and I can freeze these. So let's get started and get going on our Cinco de Mayo supper tonight on the homestead. Okay, y'all, so let's get started. In this bowl in here right now we have a 1/3 cup of lupin flour. I'm going to be adding a 1/2 cup of almond flour to that, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Again, I use Himalayan sea salt. We have a lot of areas we're covering, so I'm kind of just going straight at the recipe. And I need a tablespoon. I know that sounds like a lot. Somehow this works with it, but this is, by the way, from Keto Certs. And so, or Keto Focus. I apologize, it's Keto Focus. And she uses a tablespoon of xantham gum. I'm not really a fan of xantham gum, but sometimes it works. So, it's working on this one. It holds it together, makes this very pliable. So the next step, and I'm using hot water. I use 6 tablespoons of hot water. I'm just going to mix all this together until all the flours absorb the water in here. And I have noticed on the first round it will be kind of sticky. She said it's supposed to come out like a Play-Doh. It didn't exactly come out like that. Now mind you, this can happen in the circumstances on your weather. Is it raining? Is it dry? Is there a lot of humidity? Yeah, I'll get that word out. You know, varying factors, grade levels, where we're at, elevation, all this stuff. So if it is too wet, even after mixing this up for a while, add a little bit more almond flour. If it's too dry, then you can add just, and I wouldn't go very much with either one of these, just about a teaspoon, maybe even a 1/2 teaspoon. And so add water or almond flour, if anything at all. I honestly didn't add anything. I just kind of let it sit here for a bit, because it forms very easy. I just let it sit and absorb everything first. It did help on that matter. Sometimes it does have to do that. So I just kind of sit here and mix it up and fold it in and let it absorb all the liquids. And I usually give this about 5 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do with this one, is I'm just going to go ahead and set my timer for 5 minutes. After that is up, we will come back and we will start making these babies. Okay, y'all, so our 5 minutes is up. I've got my dough cut into 4s, and so I am actually going to go ahead and press this. My pan, I am using a dry skillet over here. Switch you up just a little bit. Hang on. All right, now we got you set up. So I am using a dry, non-greased pan. She had stated that it would be better this, or it would change the texture. I could see that it would probably make the texture more crispier if we added an oil base to this. So, and with this being, again, as pliable as this is, I think I'm just going to stick to it, because this is going to make a really nice taco. But if you wanted to make a tostada out of this, this would be great too. Just add a little bit of olive oil and let that simmer in the olive oil, and you can make a beautiful tostada. Matter of fact, that's something I may even consider for me. So for my dinner tonight, instead of tacos, I may just do that and make me some tostada discs. And it's sounding better and better the more I think about it. So that's probably what I'll do. It's just different options you can do with these, and they're way better. To me, we can buy the tortillas at the grocery store. However, the problem that I'm running into those are, number one, there is a fiber count to counteract a massive load of carbohydrates. So when you have for instance, something that has 14 or higher carbohydrates, and it is accommodated by the fiber, I find that highly disturbing. One, it irritates, I'm not sure if it does my husband, but for me, it irritates my stomach. Number two, it does have a tendency to spike my husband's blood sugar. So these are two factors that just don't work for me. To make my own, reduce the carbs tremendously, and know that, yeah, nothing is going to be like the regular. We've already known that, but if we can come as close as we can, safe for us to eat, and kind of resemble, okay, so it may not be a flour tortilla, but it could resemble a corn. So, and we can change and make this in a variety of different dishes, adding ingredients to know that, hey, we have this product, we can do this, and there's really nothing we can't do. We can add flavor to the best of our ability. So with that, our pan is hot. Let's get started. I'm going to take each round onto my press over here. I'm going to place it right smack in the middle. Press it down just slightly. Put my second piece of parchment paper over the top. I'm just going to bring this down and press it down. This makes the perfect, look at that, y'all, perfect size. Now I'm going to flip this because it can tend to be a little thick. So I kind of do mine twice. And then I will put it in my pan. So, and there is my perfectly pressed, nice tortilla. So I'm just going to peel off the top, flip it over, carefully peel off my bottom, like so. And then I'm going to put this in my pan so I can lightly, till it'll resemble, here's some examples here, resemble that nice tortilla look on the surface of it. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to be flipping this. I don't leave it too long. I just want to look for that golden color. So I will give it a few seconds and I'll flip it, and I will do that both sides until I know I have the right consistency. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead, take this, flip this over just a little bit, let that cook. In the meantime, I'm going to get my other one prepared and ready to go, and then I will flip this one again. You have to watch it though, because the lupin flour, even coconut flour, any of these flours can actually burn pretty quickly. So you want to try to keep your eye on it. Wow, these are coming out nice. And these are so simple to make. I mean, I'm on my second batch, and like I say, we're not going to eat all of these by far. I always tend to make extras, that way I can freeze it, and I don't have to keep coming back to doing this all the time. If I want a Mexican dish or whatever, I can therefore go to my freezer and just get out what I need for our meal and be done with it. So, and that's part of being the prepper, I guess, with me and homesteading, is I like to be prepared ahead of time. And so that's what we're doing. This one is just about done. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish off the rest of these. We've only got 3 more after this, and we will be right back. Okay, so we finished off our tortillas. We are now set for our next recipe, and this is going to be our Spanish cauliflower rice. We go to the Mexican restaurants, and a lot of our dishes are served with Spanish rice, which that tastes to me amazing when we can blend that with our enchiladas or whatever. We have this on the side. We have that served with our lettuce, and yeah. So I am going to be making us a Spanish rice. Have I ever tried this recipe before? Nope. just like most things, I am going to try this with you. It's a make it or break it. So we're going to see what we can do here. This calls for 16 ounces of cauliflower or cauliflower rice. And so what I have is a 12-ounce bag of regular cauliflower that I actually rice. So I'm going to take my ingredients slightly less than the recipe because I only have 12 ounces. I'm going to try to accommodate it, and I can do the flavors in between. So right now it states to use about a tablespoon of olive oil. Very much I'll do that. I do not mind using olive oil. It's a good fat, and I am going to use that. So I am going to be adding now. I had riced up my cauliflower already, so I'm going to be adding this to it. Basically kind of cooking off some of the liquid. Oh, snap. Y'all, I am one messy cook. I'm normally not like this, but for some reason today it's just been one of them days. So I'm just going to dump in my cauliflower rice. Remove some of the excess liquid that's in this, because I kind of want it a bit dry and not soggy, just like a rice actually. And I'm going to be adding liquid to this as it is. So, which I'm going to go ahead and add mine now. It requires about a 1/4 cup of vegetable or chicken broth. So I am going to add slightly less than a 1/4 homemade chicken broth that I had canned, just to get that flavor in there. And I'm going to let this simmer till all the liquid is out of it. And we have somewhat, not completely, but somewhat of a drier consistency to our cauliflower. And then I'm going to add the rest of our ingredients to get that flavor boost. This one won't take very long because it is going to cook some more and it will have to be covered. So, and I can always take and cook it down later in the process. Like I said, I'm just giving this a light dry point. And already the broth was already absorbed through the cauliflower, so that works. Alright, so the next thing we're going to be adding is, let's see here. Well, no, it states here to cook it for 5 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and do that first, I guess. And again, it's to help absorb and to soften up the texture. Now, mine was frozen. It's not fresh cauliflower. I got it because at Walmart I can get frozen cauliflower. I can rice myself for 98 cents a bag for 12 ounces versus $3 for a head of cabbage, which I'm going to probably get the same amount as what I got in the frozen stuff. So it was a no-brainer for me. It's still fresh, and I'm just going to be using the frozen. So I'm just going to go ahead and let this cook for the 5 minutes, and we will be back to add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, y'all. So the next ingredients. Now, this recipe calls for a 1/3 cup of tomato sauce. I am not going to be using tomato sauce. I am going to be using a paste. And I am going to add about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. I don't want a whole lot of tomato in this if I don't have to. So I'm now going to be using 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Now you can also, I've seen this recipe with, let's see, it's 1 teaspoon of it. I've seen recipes where people were using rotel in this and jalapenos and all that. You can very much add that. And I'll probably be adding a jalapeno to this one. I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of cumin. And yes, I will be writing these recipes down for y'all. It does take time to do this, but I know you enjoy these recipes, so I need a half a teaspoon of salt. Some pepper. And now I need crushed minced garlic, and I am going to use 1 clove in this. We happen to like garlic. Garlic goes with everything, so I'm just going to use an entire clove of garlic in this. And fresh, I absolutely love fresh. Now you can use dried if you want, minced or whatever. So however you like your garlic, just add it. And to your preference, actually. I'm just going to mince this up manually and then add that to our rice. Some may think I do things the hard way, but y'all, fresh, it just, to me, there's nothing like it. I'm just going to add my garlic to this. And I may end up adding some more tomato paste. I will find out in just a minute. I'm going to mix this all up. Yeah, I will be. So the reason they add the sauce, and I can see it, but I can always add more broth to mine. Add just, so 2 tablespoons of tomato paste is what went in here. And I'm going to add some more broth to mine. I didn't actually add the full 1/4 cup. So I am, looks like, going to add that full 1/4 cup to this. And I'm going to mix this all together. Smells really good. It's looking just like I would have Spanish rice. Wow. If you can smell that. Alright, now I'm going to turn this down for a bit. I'm going to also go ahead and get some jalapenos, and I'm going to add some jalapeno in here for some bite. And not a whole lot of it, actually. I'm just going to take a little bit off of this. Yeah, and I should not have done this with my bare hands, so sometimes I don't think, I just do. And I'm just going to mince this up a little bit. And then add it to our rice. And I know hubby, he's going to want his jalapenos in here. Probably going to end up having to put some more in there, though. Yeah, finish the rest of this. Just have to remember not to rub my eyes after this. I've been crazy enough to do that before. Not thinking. Just when I get so much to do on this farm and I go one thing to the next. Alright. And and that's it. Now the recipe, now that I'm assuming also, this is for fresh cauliflower, not the frozen base, so this isn't taking that long. But if you were using fresh, you'd want to cover this and cook it for about 5 to 10 minutes until it was tender. Right now this is very tender, so I can actually turn this off, set it aside, and reheat it later for supper tonight. In the meantime, I'm going to try this, and we're going to see how close to Spanish rice this really is, because it sure looks like it, smells like it. And it's hot. Oh yeah. Yeah, this will work, y'all. If you know that nothing is like the real deal, and you can tolerate certain things, this is one right here I can absolutely tolerate. It will come out being just like having Spanish rice, y'all. This turned out great. It's a keeper in my kitchen. My husband does not have to be deprived, so we can have his Spanish rice, we can have our tacos or enchiladas or tostadas, any of that with this Spanish rice will work for him. So this is definitely a keeper. So the next recipe I'm going to work on is the pico de gallo, and that's pretty much it, because I'll explain how we will do our dishes afterwards. And I'm going to add some fresh cilantro to this, honestly. I think it will add, and some lime. I have some fresh lime, so we're going to go ahead and do that as well. See if we can't kick that up just slightly more in the notch level. Now this cilantro came from our garden right outside. I love the fact I can go outside and just pick it. So I am going to be chopping this up and add this to our Spanish rice, along with adding some fresh limes to this as well. Now these are super small, so I am probably going to use well, I'm going to try one lime at a time. We'll see what it goes. That way I don't overdo it. I'm just going to sit here and chop up my cilantro. We're going to sprinkle that inside because cilantro goes with everything Mexican. So, and I happen to love it. Most people don't, or at least a few people don't like it, but I actually love this stuff. This rates up there with parsley with me. So we're going to sprinkle that in here. Oh, yes, y'all. And I like to get my limes. This is how I start the juice in them. I will take it and just roll it on my board between the palm of my hand and release the liquid inside of it. It makes it easy to squeeze. So I'm going to cut this bad boy in half. And we're going to put it in my juicer and just squeeze this out. I got this juicer at Walmart. Super easy. I happen to like this better than squeezing it between my hands. To me, I can get more out of it. So, and I don't have to worry about any seeds. Yeah. And then I'll roll it a little bit afterwards. I'll finish off the second one. There we go. And now we'll taste it after this. Y'all, it smells so good. Ugh. I love the fact when I can take an alternate food and make it as close to the real thing as possible. It always amazes me that that can be done. Now we'll mix this up and try it again. I knew I was missing a few things out of this. Now it really smells like it. Good old Spanish rice, but made with cauliflower. Who'd ever thought? Spot on, y'all. Spot on. Oh, yeah. Good one. So, this one will be going down in the comments for you. This is definitely a really good recipe. And again, if you wanted to add a different type of heat, if you didn't want to add tomato paste, if you did not want to add tomato sauce, you can actually decrease some of the ingredients and just add a can of Rotel, part of Rotel, or whatever, how much you're making for your family or how big your family is. But you can use Rotel. You can also use a small can of green chilies if you wanted to use tomato paste or tomato sauce. Anything to spice this up, you can do that as well. But this will absolutely work. I'm proud of it. Definitely adding it to our meal tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare for the pico de gallo next. Okay, y'all, so we're going to be making a small batch of pico de gallo. Now, I could give you a recipe, but it's so simple, you don't really need one. This is basically a kind of recipe you can go based by your taste, your preference, your amount, any way you want to. So I have started out with about a quarter to a half of a jalapeno pepper that I had minced up. I am now going to mince up a couple Roma tomatoes, seeds removed. And I'm just going to add these to my bowl. I'm not making very much of this because we won't eat this mix prior to this meal tonight. So, and I kind of don't want to waste food, although yeah, we could actually turn around and make some of these tortillas into chips and actually have this as a snack, as a low carb snack. So this would work amazingly. So we're just going to go ahead and add these tomatoes. I had already pre-seeded these during the prep, so I'm just cutting them up now and going to add this to it. If I choose later to add some more jalapenos and it's not spicy enough, which hubby will let me know, I will go ahead and add some more. So I still have some. I'm just going to continue. This is the last one, and then my tomatoes. And then we're going to move on to our onion. And I am actually going to use a purple onion. You're welcome to use any type of onion you want to. I like the fact it gives a color. Since I started Mediterranean, color in food just seems to pop for me, and I actually like that. It just makes food kind of, I don't know, enjoyable. So now I'm just going to dice some purple onion to go in this as well. Now, like I said, there's really no recipe to this. You just going to add what your family prefers, what you prefer. You can make this a single person. You can make this a 5 family. I mean, it all depends on your preference and taste. I mean, it comes down to it is taste it once you guys are done and see what needs to be added and what don't need to be added, or go from there. So I'm just going to give you the list of ingredients right here, and that's going to be the end of that one. So here's our onion. So we got our jalapenos, minced Roma tomatoes that are de-seeded, some minced purple onion. I am going to be adding some fresh cilantro. Again, go based by your flavor preference. Alrighty then. Don't want to cooperate with me. I'm taking the leaves off of here so much so I'm not getting all the stems. I don't mind some of the stems, but I don't like them all stem. And I just picked these yesterday, so this was perfect for tonight's meal. Alright, I'm going to put this aside and just mince up my cilantro to add to this as well. That onion is getting to my eyeballs. Now I'm going to add that, and we're going to add some lime juice to this. Now I'm probably going to use approximately 1 whole lime. You can use just regular lime juice if you can't get a hold of any fresh limes. Again, we're going to take and juice our lime. Cut it in half, and then I'm going to juice it. Add that to my mix. Oh, y'all, it's been a while since I had Mexican food, to be honest with you. So it was time. Just because I do Mediterranean and low carb doesn't mean that I don't like my certain type of food. So I'm going to have it. Even if I am on Mediterranean, it doesn't have to say I have to stick to the rules on everything. And that's the thing about lifestyle change, y'all. Don't make life boring. Don't stick to the rules. Make it your own. Have fun. I mean, you know what you can have. You know what you can't have. And some things you don't even know what you can do. And that's where I come along. So have fun. Don't just stick to the rules on everything. If I stuck to the rules on strict Mediterranean, I couldn't have those tortillas or this, that, whatever. So, you know what? I'm not one who sticks by the rules. I just do what I like. I use as much fresh and decent fats and lean as possible, and I have fun with it. All right, so now I'm going to add just a little bit of salt to this. About a pinch of salt to this, mix it up, and we're going to taste this and see if it needs any more. Look how pretty this dish looks though, y'all. That fresh right here. Absolutely amazing. All those colors in this dish. Okay. And now I'm going to test and see if we need to add anything else. Nope. That is absolutely perfect. Wow. Okay, that is like really good. I'm actually excited for supper tonight. To be honest with you, I really am. So, this basically is what it comes down to. I am having a tostada. Hubby is probably having tacos. So I'm going to switch you around. Finish this conversation with our chicken. Not our chicken. Oh, Lord have mercy, y'all. Our dinner tonight. And I will be right with you. Okay, so now let's see if we can get this straightened out. So tonight, we are using chicken, and we are going to be having chicken tacos. Now, in the variety of a chicken, you can choose to use beef, ground beef, shredded pork, shredded beef, shredded chicken. To what we're using, you can use ground turkey, the whole thing. You can use ground chicken if you want to. The flavoring that I'm going to be adding to this chicken will be a no sugar taco seasoning. And from there, we're going to be using the typical lettuce, which it will be from our farm, fresh lettuce. We'll be using the tomatoes, the cheese, the olives, the whole 9 yards. Sour cream on top. Now, hubby will probably do tacos. I'm going to do tostadas. We have our Spanish rice that we're going to go with this, topping it with pico de gallo. And I could, and you can very much too, you can take and make pureed black beans if you wanted to, like refried beans with black beans. I would very much go ahead and do that. We have our carbs is enough as we keep it between 50 to 80, especially with hubby. Like I said, I'm just doing a reset right now, but I try not to go, honestly, for my sake too, even if I am on normal carbs, I'm trying to keep my carbs at least under 100. I do not want to be the person I used to be. I got carried away. I will admit it. I started getting the flavor of food again that I once knew, and I kind of went crazy on top of the fact that 5 weeks ago today I quit smoking. So that just, oh Lord, y'all, it's been a struggle. So I'm reset. I'm back on reset. I'm doing low carb, put my body back on reset, because mainly doing this right now, I stopped the fact that right now the only problem I have is water weight. With the carbs that I added to my body, it gained the water. So that's going to be okay to get rid of that. I'm glad I catch things before. Now that I'm more conscious minded at, where I'm going with things, unlike I was before, I do care. So I know when to put the brakes on and know what to do with my health now. And that's what's going to help me maintain. So that's what I'm doing tonight. Now, as far as the beans, if you do not have to worry about the amount of carbs like I do with my husband, you can moderate how much beans, refried beans, you want to add to your mix for your supper tonight to go with your red Spanish rice and all that. This meal here alone, if I were to estimate this out, we would be about 40, at least up to 50 carbs, so which is right in our range. However, and we may even be under that. The thing with the beans isn't so much as adding carbs to my husband as what it does to his blood sugar. Now, granted, it will not majorly spike him, as the beans do break down over time, but they do spike him even throughout the night. So we use beans for him very moderately. So I will not be adding it, but you are more than welcome to add refried beans, and black beans would be your best for this meal here. So I hope you enjoyed being in the kitchen with me tonight. I hope you enjoyed being able to work a Cinco de Mayo the low carb way, working with Mexican food with us. I hope I gave you some really good ideas. Again, I will be putting some recipes in the description below. With the keto focus, I will just probably give you the link for that one. I will write the recipe out for the Spanish rice. You pretty much know the pico de gallo, and I will write out the recipe for the almond flour and coconut flour tortillas. So the only one I'm going to link though is Keto Focus. This is her recipe, and she absolutely deserves to be brought up with this one. I enjoy it, and that's the one I am going to be using tonight. Again though, they both taste pretty good. They both will work, whatever you prefer. So until next time, much love to each and every one of you. And I am going to be taking the weekend off, and I will see you the beginning of next week, unless something comes up, and I may just decide to take you in the kitchen with me, because again, we're gonna have a week's worth of rain, so I might as well do something, and I can't think of a better way to spend my days than with y'all. So much love to you, and we'll see you again from Parton's Heritage Homestead.